Cyrus's fatherhood. At noon, Robert high, like only he could. The fables are bizarre, but good. It's Myth
Understood. Hey there. Thanks for listening to another episode of Myth Understood with me, Paul Bianchi, and her, Sarah Oliver. Hey, if you have been listening to us regularly, then this will be an episode that has taken a while to return to your ears.
Did you miss us?
We have a lot to catch up on in terms of where we've been, what's going on in our lives. So if you care about us as human beings and want to hear all about that, we're going to do that after the myth. But if you're here just for the myth, don't worry. We're going to dive right into it.
Let's get up in it.
So yeah, Sarah, are you ready to hear all about this myth today?
It's been so long since I've heard a myth. I don't know what is myth and what is truth anymore.
Well, so does most of the world at this point. Let's see here. So this myth is called the Doomed Prince.
Oh boy, sounds like a man I've dated.
Well, yeah, sounds accurate. So the story of the Doomed Prince can be found, like many Egyptian things, in the British Museum in the Harris Papyrus 500.
Did it start there?
Oh no, it did not. What I found interesting about this title of this papyrus is the Harris Papyrus 500 sounds like my mom watches Indy 500.
Yeah, it sounds like a NASCAR race.
Yeah, it's not a NASCAR race. It is a papyrus, and it probably should be called something else because it was found in a home in Alexandria, and it was damaged in an explosion.
Excuse me?
And but it's not
like an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie explosion.
It was likely damaged during the Napoleonic Wars.
Okay.
During
War One.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it's not named after like what the papyrus is about or like where it was originally. It's named, of course, after Anthony Charles Harris, a British
white man that found it.
He didn't even find it. He's just a collector. He's a collector of papyrus
or
papyri.
Papyri.
Yeah, so like his entire collection, for the most part, ended up in the British Museum, but I think his family still has like other papyri.
They're papyrators.
Yeah, there you go. But anyway, this is the story of the Doomed Prince. Once upon a time, there was a king who was sad because he had no son born to him.
Oh, man. No, did he just have a bunch of nasty little daughters?
Yeah, he probably had like 30 daughters, but who cares?
Who needs them?
He needed a baby boy.
Yeah.
So he prayed to the gods to grant his desire. And they said, okay, fine. Here's a child with a penis. And the king's favorite wife gave him a son. And the son has no name in the story. So what shall we call him?
I don't know why, but like Chad came up. I meant to go like either Chad, but I'm sure we've done Chad before. Then it was like something else, but Chad.
I like Chad. So, Sarah, did you watch the X-Men animated cartoons?
Obviously, we have bonded about this.
Yeah. So, do you remember how Cyclops' dad came from space?
No.
So his dad was the captain of a space pirate crew called the Starjammers.
Scott
Summers, the Cyclops.
He's half alien?
He's not half alien. His dad, like it's very much
his dad was kind of like a Kirk.
It's kind of like I'm blanking on Peter Quill from Guardians of the Galaxy. Like
okay.
You know how his like dad disappeared one day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's kind of was the deal with the Summers brothers. And so yeah, his dad was leader of the Starjammers.
Oh, that's a name.
It's very 80s.
Yeah.
His girlfriend was a skunky / kitty alien, like very furry, named Mamselle Hepzibah.
Oh.
And also on this team was a big green alien named Chad.
No way.
It's CH''OD.
That's exactly what I said.
So yeah, that's who this is now. Anyway, and for people just here for the myths, here we go. So for some time in ancient Egypt, so this is related. So this guy's name is Chad. This is a little detour that I had to take while reading this myth because they introduced something called the Hathors, and I thought I would
give us some history,
that.
bitch.
So for some time in ancient Egypt, Hathor is not just one goddess. There are 7 of her. Either as a form, singular Hathor takes, or in other texts, it's 7 separate individuals. And these goddesses were worshipped in 7 cities: Thebes, Heliopolis, Aphroditopolis, Sinai, Memphis, Heracleopolis, and Kesset.
Wait, these are Greek gods?
No, those are cities in ancient Egypt.
Sure. Oops.
Sometimes they appear as cows, and sometimes they're a band of old women with long white hair and a new lease on life. You know, they're fun ants who study astrology.
Yeah, I love them.
They appear at a child's birth and determine their fate.
So her, what's her name again? Hathorn?
The 7 Hathors.
Hathorn, definitely pronoun she, them, because...
Oh, yeah, she, them.
Yeah, yeah. She is them.
They yeah. So the Hathors arrived to determine the fate of this newborn prince when he was being born. And they pull a little bit of a Maleficent.
Oh, they weren't invited?
That's unclear. They could have been not invited, or they were just feeling, maybe they were like very salty about the king's like need for a son, and they were like on team 30 daughters who were being ignored. So they all point their like crooked fingers or their hooves, if they're cows, at this adorable infant, and they say, "His death shall be by the crocodile, or by the serpent, or by the dog."
They don't sound like they're prophesizing as much as they're guessing now.
Yeah. You know, one of those things. Where's the wine table?
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's what happens. And then the servants hear the Hathor's words, and they hurried to tell the king, because of course he wasn't in the room watching his wife give birth, because who cares about that?
Yeah. Just bring him to me when we can play shoot some ball together.
We're going to say play Xbox together. So in a move that's very early Oedipus, the king decides to try to cheat this fate, because he hears, oh my gosh, he's going to get killed by a crocodile, a serpent, or a dog.
So he kills all those animals in the land?
No. He decides to...
I would have walked out of this room.
He orders a house be built in the mountains and furnished richly. He sends his infant son away to be cared for by servants with all that could be desired, so that the child would never have any reason to leave. So does that.
He Rapunzeled him.
Mm-hmm. And when the boy was older, he one day, it was not prophesied that he would die from a great fall. So he ends up on the roof of his house one day as a young boy. And from there, he sees a dog following a man on the road. And he turns to his attendant and he says, "What's that adorable thing wagging its tail?" And
you're murderer.
Well, the attendant tells him that it's a dog. And the child is like, well,
I'm going to need to get me up in that.
Exactly. Yeah. He wants a dog. So the attendant sends a letter to the king. And what does the king say?
No, you idiot. That dog going to eat him.
See, that's what I thought too. But the king says, you know what? I agree. Dogs are adorable. And I don't want my son to be sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, he can have a dog, but like a little dog, maybe a corgi or a cocker spaniel.
Does he visit his son, or he just snail mails?
There is no evidence that he visits his son in this. So he's like, what's the worst that could happen? He's just gonna have a little dog.
Well, you actually know the worst that could happen.
Yeah, well,
you were told by some hoofy crones what could happen.
Yeah, well, he lets him have a dog. So
right.
The prince,
he's maybe forgetting.
Yeah, so the prince gets a puppy, and lives with his dog that he adores, and grows into a young man. And while he's there, he becomes restless, and he asked his dad one day. He's like, "Please tell me,
can I get a crocodile?
Can I get a crocodile?" He asked his dad via letter, because they don't see each other in person, to tell him the truth about why he has to live in a gorgeous house in the mountains with a dog and everything he could ever ask for.
Yeah. Oh, what a sad boy.
And the king decides to tell him about the truth that was fated by the Hathors.
I would have told him right away. That probably would have squashed the dog fever.
No, tell him when he's older.
That's so weird.
So the prince replies with a message to his father saying, "Come."
OMG.
No, well, he leaves out the OMG. Maybe that's in there. This whole papyrus was damaged, so OMG
I
could
know
have been
it's
crossed
missing.
out.
Yeah. Water damage.
So he says, "Come, and wherefore am I kept prisoner? Though I am fated to 3 evil fates, let me follow my desires. Let the gods fulfill their will." To which his dad replies,
It sounds like it's going to be yes, because he's not very good at keeping his word of
secret. Yeah, that's exactly what happens. He says, "Sure, you know what? I barely know you anyway. Go out and tempt fate. See what I care."
Maybe he has more heirs at this point, so he's like, eh.
Yeah, maybe once the seal was broken, then he's just started getting son.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
the seal being broken is his favorite wife's vagina? Is that what you're saying?
That is the insinuation, yes. So he was given weapons, and his dog was allowed to follow him. And the servants took
the dog a gun.
They mounted a gun on the dog's back. The servants took him to the east country and said to him, "Behold, thou art free to go wheresoever thou wilt."
Now he's a real adrenaline junkie, huh?
Yeah, and the servants just leave him. It's just a man and his dog now.
Wait, what a drastic move. Like, you could say, okay, go around with your bodyguards.
No.
They'll be, slapping crocodiles.
Go forth, son. Live on the land. So,
See, now he's just camping?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like glamping.
He goes out and glamps. Well, because he has what he needs, I suppose. He sets forth north with his dog following, and his whim dictated any path that he took.
He has no whim. He's been inside.
Well,
he's been an indoor child. He can't handle this much sunshine.
According to the myth, he and his dog hunted together and survived on the land, and it was fucking awesome.
What? That's what the papyrus said. Exactly. This is a quote.
Yeah. And on his travels, he reaches the town of Nahirana.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
What do you want from me?
Well, I was mostly pleased that I was able to
said
pronounce
it?
any of it. There's a lot of A's in this.
Yeah.
It is Nahairana. Nahirana.
Nahirana.
So the chief of this town had but one child, a daughter, and he was actually very contented with having a daughter and hadn't begged the gods for a son. Imagine
Look at that.
Yeah. But he also loved his daughter way too much and was scarily overprotective. So he made her live in a 70-cubit tall tower, Rapunzel style.
Rapunzel's again. Oh, 2 Rapunzels. They're going to lock their hairs together.
And it had 70 windows at the top, so she had a great view.
Yeah, okay. She's not.
Unless there were 70 little windows, like little keyholes. And her dad told all of the sons of the chiefs in the country of Kalu, "He who climbs and reaches my daughter's windows shall win her for a wife."
This is legit Rapunzel. Okay.
Yeah.
I made a Rapunzel joke at the beginning, not knowing there'd be some real Rapunzel shit.
Rapunzel happening. Yeah.
Wow.
So when the prince arrives to this town, the people of the chief took the young prince to his house and to their homes and treated him with like greatest honor and kindness. Like, I guess they were respecting the Xenia.
Hold up.
What?
I'm caught up on something. This is the only requirement for his prize daughter to marry someone is that they climbed.
Is that they climbed 70.
You didn't want to say, sit down, let's hear about.
No, if you're brave enough to climb a 70-cubit tower, then that's...
Or dumb enough. It could also be if the guy's reckless enough, then how do we know how he's going to treat my beautiful daughter, my baby girl?
It might be one of those things where he just like never wanted his daughter to get married, so he just assumed that like...
Oh, this is an impossible task.
Yeah, huh?
Yeah, he's greasing up the tower every day.
Yeah, just like rubbing sticks of butter on it.
Exactly.
This tower smells great. So anyway, the chief's servants see Chad. We have been not calling him that. Mm-hmm. We arrive in this town, and for some reason,
Chad and Maud.
Chad, the dog is Maud?
No, the girl's Maud.
Oh, Maud. Okay. What's the dog's name?
Todd, obviously.
Okay. So they see Chad and Todd walk into this town, and they're like, well, he's a snappy dresser. He's clearly rich, so we're going to be nice to him. and they and they.
So I was right. He was glamping.
Yeah, they give him their food, and they asked him from whence he came, and he returns their kindness with lies.
Why?
I don't really know. It doesn't. I think that maybe
because he never had friends, and when you don't have social skills, you just make up stuff.
I think that maybe
look at the internet.
Maybe he thinks that they won't believe that he's cursed, or maybe
is that what he's calling it now? It's a curse.
It's a curse from the Hathors.
It's a guess of how you're gonna die in 3 very likely ways in Egypt at that
time. And he says, "I come from Egypt. I am the son of an officer of that land." So lie number 1 is an officer. No, you're the son of the king. My mother died. No, his mom's still alive. And my father has taken another wife. That's probably true, though, because he had several wives. Who, when she bore my father other children, grew to hate me. Therefore, I have fled as a fugitive from her presence.
There's no reason that he just starts making this shit up?
Well, the result is that they feel sorry for him and all embrace him. So he's just like longing for human touch.
Yeah. See? No social skills.
But like, if he had told him about the fate that the Hathors had given him, he'd probably also get there.
Even if he just said, I was an indoor kid and now I'm out running around seeing the world, that's a fine, true story too. Just a little omission.
Yeah.
The thing he made up is psychotic. Chod is a freak.
Chod is trouble. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, he spends his time with them, and then he goes outside and he sees all those men trying to climb a tower, some of them falling to their death, and he wonders what's going on. And,
that looks like fun.
Yeah, and they tell him that if he climbs to the top, they might win the chief's daughter for their wife. And they're like, yeah, and any woman that's kept that high up must be super hot.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I like to think here that the prince looks up to this tower, and a wind goes through his hair, and he feels that the chief's daughter and him must have something in common, kept from truly experiencing the world because of their overprotective fathers.
Absolutely.
And that's the basis for like real love and companionship, is this like shared backstory that they can delight each other in. But of course that says that there's nothing in the text that says that, but that's just what I felt.
And the subtext I'm reading into is he's like, I'm not going to fall and die because I know these 3 ways I could die, and that's not one of them.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
I'm very smart.
Yeah. I don't know why we both broke into laughter after that. So something motivates the prince to climb higher than any other man who came before him. It's a dizzying height, and when he reaches her window, they make eye contact, and they feel an immediate connection, each no longer feeling profoundly alone. And she embraces him and pulls him through the window and kisses him.
Oh, wow.
And a messenger sees this happen from the ground and goes to the chief immediately and says, King.
Well, what is it, boy? There's more butter in the fridge. Get it.
No,
Grease up the tower.
One of the youths hath reached thy daughter's window, mine sire.
Impossible.
It is a fugitive from Egypt.
A fugitive?
Oh, yeah. Well, because the lie he told.
But not like he's on the lam.
That's what he said. He's like on the lam from like his
stepmom just didn't like him.
His stepmom didn't like him, and so he had to flee in order to escape her scorn.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, but he got to the top of the tower, so therefore he must be worthy.
Well, the chief is not happy about this, though.
Okay, good. So maybe he really didn't want anyone to get up there.
Well, he only wanted it to be a man from his own country. And so he says, let him go back from whence he came. And so the attendant's like, oh, right away. I'll write that down on my neck.
So this is like a Republican senator?
I guess so.
Go back to your old home.
Yeah. And so the attendant runs back to warn the youth. And the prince. The Chod. But Maud held on to Chod and said she would not let him go.
I just imagine her like, sitting on his foot with her arms wrapped around his calf.
And she said she swore by the gods.
No, I'm so horny.
She says, by the power of Ra, if he is taken from me, I will neither eat nor drink, and in that hour I shall die.
Oh my God, She and I have so much in common. I fucking die if I don't eat for an hour or two.
So her vow was returned. It's like messenger back and forth. Like no one talks in person in the story. And
I'm just imagining they have like the can and the string set up. Because how else are you getting anything?
The can and the string?
Yeah.
Oh, just like all the way down from the tower?
Yeah, because how else are you doing this? Or is there supposed to be a messenger?
It's just a messenger running all the way up and down the stairs.
Oh, that she doesn't have access to the stairs.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's fucked.
So her father is told of her vow, and upon hearing it, he sends
an entire hour. No,
without Dunkaroos. He sends a mercenary to slay the prince.
Holy shit! What a reaction!
But the daughter of the chief intervenes yet again, says,
slices the mercenary's throat.
She says, "By the great Lord Ra, if he be slain, then I shall die ere the set of the sun. If I am parted from him, then I live no longer."
This is trauma bonding.
Yeah. She's probably also 12.
Yeah, right. Jesus. Everyone likes their first friend, I guess.
Yeah.
It's intense.
So again, her words are carried to the chief. The chief sighed, calls for his daughter and the prince to be brought before him. There, the chief of Naharana relented and embraced him affectionately, saying to Chad, "Tell me who thou art, for now thou art as a son to me."
What a turn!
Yeah,
I'm at arm's length here. If I'm Chad, I'm like, it's gonna take me a while to warm back up to you.
Well, and so what does Chad say?
Does he tell the truth or is it bullshit?
It's the same fucking lie.
Wow.
He says, "I come from Egypt. I'm the son of an officer of that land. My mother died and my father was taken of their life, who, when she bore my father children, grew to hate me. Therefore, I have fled as a fugitive from her presence."
See?
Word for word, written on his hand.
Yeah, exactly. That's when you know it's a lie.
Yeah.
It's too rehearsed.
So the chief...
He practiced it with his dog.
So, Todd, help me out here. Does this sound good?
Lick his balls.
Whoa.
His own balls, not Chad's. It's natural.
So the chief takes pity on him and allows him to marry his daughter. He gives him a house, land, cattle, and of course slaves. And in time, the prince finally tells Maud of his fate. He says to her, "Maud, I have to come clean about something. I'm doomed to 3 evil fates. To die by crocodile, a serpent, or a dog."
How's that different than anybody else that's just living in this time?
Well, because it was fated by the Hathors as a child.
I could also say the same thing. I might die of childbirth disease.
So they visited you too then. Well, she also says, "Oh, that's upsetting. You have a dog. Why? We should kill your dog." And he goes, whoa, Maud, whoa, absolutely not. I've had Todd since I was a little boy. That's off the table. Also, by the way, I was thinking I should go back to Egypt because my dad's likely getting really old, and so I should go back so I can rule when he passes.
You don't have one of these cans with strings?
No, I don't. We don't have that technology in Egypt.
Yeah, but you don't even know him.
No.
Like,
we'll figure it out.
I know my daddy.
You and me,
who put
baby.
me in that buttered up tower.
Well,
seems like you shouldn't travel if these are the things. Like, there might be snakes.
There might be snakes. There might be crocodiles. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but they
these are things we find outside.
Well, what's interesting here is that in the myth, she goes, "Well, I'm going to travel with you," which is funny because her commenting that way makes it seem like he was like, "I'm just going to go," and she's like, "Well, I'm going to come." It's like that meme with,
"You're a prize. I won you."
It's like, well, it's also like that meme with the Padme and Anakin. It's like, "And I'm going to come with you, right? And I'm going to come with you, right?" But his response is basically like, "Yeah, if you want." Like, yeah, whatever, babe.
The romance is gone 48 hours into it.
So they cross back into Egypt and they reach a town by a river.
That's where crocodiles are. Being
Egypt, a crocodile lived in that river.
All right, yeah.
Not just any crocodile, an angry crocodile.
No, I played this game.
Angry because every day a big brawny man who lived in that town would come by and wrestle it.
What?
He would bind it in leather and repeat this action
What?
every day just as the crocodile struggled loose.
Why?
Because it contended him that the crocodile couldn't hurt anyone while it was bound.
This is some Florida man shit.
Yeah. So this was happening for 2 months up until the prince's arrival.
Oh, yes. He's ornery.
Mm-hmm. So put a bookmark on that. The prince and his wife crossed the river safely.
The leather daddy crocodile bookmark.
And at night they stay at an inn, and the prince falls asleep on a lounge, and his wife is like, I'm just gonna leave him a little bowl of milk to lap up if he's for when he wakes up.
Full of snakes.
Yeah. And she places it on a table on his side, and as she's doing this, a serpent slithers out of a hole in the wall and tries to bite the sleeping prince. But Maud says...
Oh, does she catch it with one hand?
Maud says...
Not today.
No, she doesn't catch it with one hand, but she does say, wait, wouldn't you rather have this milk, Sir Snake?
Well, we know that snakes love milk.
Yeah, well, this one does.
Okay.
She feeds milk to the snake. The snake, as the papyrus says, it drank and was drunk and lay helpless on its back. So this wasn't regular milk then. This was maybe like milk of poppy. Like, yeah. I don't know what it was. And immediately as the...
Well, babies kind of get milk drunk. Maybe it's like that.
Oh, maybe it is that. Yeah. So the snake is all like happy and like milk drunk. Then Maud pulls out a knife and stabs the snake to death.
Oh, no. That's mean, Maud.
Yeah.
She's kind of the badass of this. She wants to murder all the animals. I mean, I'm not pro that, but like...
She's willing to do anything for Chad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've known him all day. I will die for him.
The prince wakes up, screams, because he sees a dead snake next to him, and then his wife holding a bloody knife, and she's like, "Ah, got it!" And she says to him, "See, thy God hath given one of thy dooms into thy hand. Surely he shall give thee the others." And the prince is like, "Whoa, okay, yeah, I'll figure something out." Calm down, Maud. You're being really dramatic. So he goes to a temple, and he makes sacrifices to the gods and praises them before he goes to bed.
It's not the gods that did anything. It was the Hathors.
The Hathors are gods.
Oh, okay. That's who he's praising.
Yeah. Well, he's not praising them. He's just like, the whole communal gods.
Oh, okay.
Because like Ra can overrule the Hathors,
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
So the next day, the prince walks out into the fields with Todd following him, and Todd chases after wild game and jumps into the river after the wild game.
Oh no!
And then the prince, again tempting fate, follows him into the river, wading in, and out from the river rose the angry crocodile, recently loosened from his bondage.
His leather bondage.
And he says to him,
"Oh, the animals are speaking now."
Yes, of
First
course.
time that an animal spoke in this entire myth. Okay.
And the crocodile says, "Behold, I am thy doom, following after thee."
Oh, so he knows I'm chosen to end you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So what do you think happens next?
He takes out like a leather daddy whip and they have sex.
I mean, you know what? That can be the ending. Because as I said at the beginning, this papyrus is damaged.
Shut the fuck up.
That's where it ends.
Whoa.
That's all that's left of it.
Okay, so we get to make up an ending?
We get to make up the ending. In fact, like historians of Egypt encourage people to make up an ending.
Okay, I actually do. I'm following the thread here. So it's not the dog. And I'm going to say, due to past actions, Maud comes out and she murders the crocodile. She grabs each side of its mouth and she rips open its mouth, unhinges it, snaps it open, drinks its blood, and then says, "Jump on my back," and she swims down the river all the way to see the old man.
So that to see the old man,
the dying dad or whatever, old bitch dad.
Old bitch dad.
She takes him to the retirement home.
Mm-hmm.
And then the dad says, "I'm glad you're my son."
That's so it has a happy ending. He avoids all three of his fates.
I think. Oh no! What happens is they show up there, and then the dad, as he's gonna give his son the first embrace, a wild dog jumps on him, and pushes him to the ground to where a snake latches onto his neck, and as he tries to escape, a crocodile pulls him into the river, and the dad dies of all three fates.
The dad dies of all three fates.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It was meant for his ears.
What a twist.
What a twist, yeah. So what's funny is I'm conditioned, I think, by Greek mythology to think of these as sort of morality plays where we think that it's going to be the snake for a moment. It's not a snake. We think that it's going to be a crocodile for a moment. It's not a crocodile. I feel like it's Todd. Like, I feel like that's the way that, like, the Greeks would tell the story. Where, like
he'd be trying to save him and he accidentally drowns him or something?
Yeah, or something like that happens. Or, like, that he chooses Maud over Todd and then the dog gets revenge or something.
Uses the gun on his back.
Yeah. But given what I've learned from reading all these Egyptian myths, they don't
end as sad usually.
They don't end as, like, tied up in a bow as a lot of the Greek myths do. So I wouldn't be surprised if what you said was true, where that he makes it all the way back home and is like, oh, it looks like those fates didn't get me, and then he ends up like getting stabbed by an angry vizier instead, or like that, like it's just like, and nothing matters. The end. Yeah,
you know what? Too, I would be a nice twist of irony if somehow they get back home and they're like forced to live in a tower again or something.
Oh yeah,
that would suck. And then like maybe like a stepmom actually does exile.
Oh, his lie comes back to haunt him.
Yeah,
yeah.
Because why else have the lie? What a weird bitch.
I see, and I'm kind of wondering if I'm missing something from like historical context. If like maybe even just suggesting that he was of royal lineage from Egypt in a neighboring country would then make him like they would want to hold him ransom or something, or like and making him unwanted from there made it be like, okay, well then you're not worth it. But he like couldn't hide the fact that he was an Egyptian, Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that somewhere in there is a wonderful ending.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you've listened to this and you have an alternate ending, I would love to hear them.
Oh, please tweet or
animate them.
Oh my God, please animate the ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Act it out.
Leather Daddy Crocodile says, "I'm your doom." Mm-hmm. And then someone please animate at least Maud unhinging the crocodile's jaw and ripping him in half.
Or just like an ending that's a thirst trap TikTok, that's fine too.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
You just said buzzwords that you don't know what they mean.
Yeah.
You little bitch.
Yeah.
Well, and how could they send us these versions? I think they could tweet it to us. Mm-hmm. They could Instagram it to us. Those might be the two ways to do it.
Yeah.
@ _myth understood.
Yeah.
On Instagram. And Twitter.
Boo, 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 boo.
Do you have a gender reveal party?
Do you have a baby shower coming up?
Did you just give birth and you were like, well, I didn't even know I was pregnant?
Well, have we got the service for you? We are seven Hathors.
Hathors.
Yeah, we're going to come to your place of baby having.
Uninvited.
And we will either be in the form of a cow or an old lady.
Maybe somewhere in between.
So we get weird.
Mid-transition.
And we will determine your child's fate.
We're going to curse that little cutie.
Yeah. And you know what? We'll do it for free, just as long as you serve us wine.
Yeah, you don't have to want it, and you probably won't want it. But we're going to tell them how that little guy's going to die.
Don't believe us? You're wrong. Listen to these satisfied customers.
My child exploded.
We predicted that. Yeah, the seven Hathors came to my house and like I was having twins, and the first one they said would lead a happy, normal life, and the second one they said would eat only spaghetti, and he keeps eating only spaghetti.
Yeet him.
What?
Yeet.
Yeet him?
Yeet.
Yeet? The seven Hathors.
Moo.
Well, great, Sarah. That was so nice to
Myth.
myth again.
I mythed you.
I mythed you too. Wow. I think I accidentally did that several times during this podcast, and that was the first time it was intentional.
Of today's podcast, or
Oh, yeah,
in general?
just lisping in general. Let's talk about what's been happening in our lives.
Why did that just give me anxiety?
Because our
Our lives are anxiety.
yeah, our lives are riddled with anxiety.
It's true.
The last time that we recorded a podcast was
It's been 82 years.
before you left,
Yes.
which was
November.
Yeah, it was in November. Because you moved to Atlanta
To make it big.
to make it big,
And boy, did I.
and we aspired to continue to record
Right.
episodes during
Mhm.
that time,
Mm-hmm.
but it was also just generally very difficult to
Yeah.
do in terms of scheduling and just like figuring out how to make that work while you were trying to find work in Atlanta, and I was traveling and trying to find and continue to do work here.
Yeah.
It's been rough.
Yeah. I've missed doing this. And I'm obviously happy to be returned and be returned to you, my best friend.
Yeah.
But figuring out stuff, even with just like a 3-hour time difference, and just the overall, like, if you're working or if I'm working on a set, that's usually like 14-hour of your actual day. So
Yeah.
it's hard to time management that.
For the listeners, what was your motivation for moving to Atlanta?
Well, for film stuff, I've just known it a lot. A lot of stuff has moved over there, and just at that time period too, like Atlanta had just picked up and started like filming a lot, and it just seemed like LA, for good reason. Like we just kept having shutdown after shutdown. Things weren't going to return to a consistent, work availability, and just trying to be like a, small fish in a smaller pond than a fish drowning.
Or even just to expose yourself to a different market.
Oh boy, did I.
Oh yeah, you kept exposing yourself.
Exactly.
And people were like,
That's
please
why
stop that.
I've had to leave.
Yeah.
So there were more auditions for sure, but auditions, if you don't know, does not equal money.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, people ask you to do that for free.
Mhm.
And it seems like increasingly more and more are the expectations on actors to not only self-tape and
Have
record,
perfect lighting,
but have
edit it.
have perfect lighting and sound, and
Yeah.
you're asked to be a one-stop shop, which is really, really difficult unless you're our producer Jake Lloyd, who's incredible at doing all those
Yes,
things
he is.
innately.
Many hats.
Many hats he wears. Why am I Yoda? A thing that I did during this time off was I became an engaged person.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
The minute I left.
The minute you left, I said, "Let's get hitched." This has been sort of an interesting thing for, like, if you've been listening to Myth Understood from the beginning, or even if you just recently started and you've binged it. If you listen to episode 1 of Myth Understood, I am a man who is identifying as straight in that episode. And
You said that?
I said that. Episode 1. I said,
I'm a
I am a straight
man.
But this show has been going on long enough that I've been... It's sort of an interesting time capsule that way.
Yeah.
Because I, at the beginning of... I don't know years anymore. Everything's all a blur.
There's no
But
time.
A little over 3 years ago, I made the decision to switch my Tinder, my online dating to both men and women.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, cool, this is a new me, and I owe it to myself. I felt to explore that side of myself.
Yeah.
And went on some dates with some men, and also continued dating some women. And then I met Sarah, and I went on a trip to Scotland, and we went with our friend Chelsea, who
Has also been on this
has
show.
been on the show. And we and Sarah and Chelsea ended up getting food poisoning in
Mm-hmm.
they had oysters, but I had oysters with them.
And
But
then the next morning at the airport, we had runny airport eggs.
yeah, you had runny gray colored airport eggs.
Okay, let's not
You're
make
like-
us that stupid.
I want those. They were spotted with red dots, and someone
Yeah.
was sneezing on
Actual flies around them.
them.
Yeah.
And you said
Uh-huh.
that's just how they make them in Ireland.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so you both ended up with food poisoning, and I realized I had a night to myself in Edinburgh. So I said, I'm gonna go on a date when I'm here.
Mhm.
And I met Callum Fleming, who has also been a guest on this podcast.
Mhm.
And we started hanging out, and we've been dating for 3 years at this
Yes,
point.
you have.
And over the holidays during yet another pandemic lockdown, my family, my mom, dad, and sister ended up in Scotland, and his family got together and met, and we had Christmas all together there. And then I proposed to Callum in a way that I would never want him to propose to me, but it's definitely like what he kind of professed that he would have liked.
Yeah.
He brought up very early on that he was like, I would love a flash mob, and I was not about to teach his family an organized dance in the streets.
It's not too late. We can do it at the wedding.
Yeah, we can do it later. But instead, what I did is on our second date, I sang Billy Idol at a karaoke bar in Glasgow.
Mhm.
And so I sang a version of White Wedding to him in the streets while his family and my family were waiting just around the corner at like every little part of this
With
park.
snipers ready if he said no.
Yeah, ready to. He saw all the lasers on him,
Take
and he
him
was like, "Whoa!" No, it was pieces of a bouquet, and
Yeah. Oh.
as soon as his mom handed him the first flower of the bouquet, he was just wet with tears. And I should be careful before I say that.
Yeah.
I mean, he was sobbing, and
He knew immediately.
yeah, and I realized at that point, after I had gone and walked through the streets and practiced days prior, like the timing of it.
Mhm.
As soon as he was sobbing, I was like, "Oh, it doesn't even matter that I'm singing." Like he says in hindsight, he's like, he doesn't even remember what I was singing or what I was saying
Yeah.
or what song it was and all that.
He's just like, shh, I'm getting proposed to. Be quiet.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. I remember too, because I had led him on a scavenger hunt before that part, because I was trying to lead him away so that his family and friends could set up in the area I wanted them to. And we stopped by a baklava place, and he had a box of the baklava,
Oh, you make
and-
my mouth water.
and he had it in a bag. And as soon as he started collecting the flowers, he goes, "Somebody grab this!" And he like threw it. I don't know why I gave him that voice. "Somebody grab this!" Wait, what character is that? Is that the snag?
Kind of like a haughty Mary Poppins.
I was thinking it's the tiger from Hanna-Barbera that I'm talking about. Is it Snagglepuss?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, anyway. Well, he threw the baklava over his shoulder, and he was like, "Someone grab this," and because he needed to have.
Gave your mom a black eye.
Yeah, and my mom ended up in the ER. No, it was a lovely experience.
Yeah.
And it was amazing that we pulled it off, because Callum is amazing at sniffing out any sort of secret that is happening around him.
Little detective.
Yeah, but it was so much nervous chaos around the holidays that like he never even dreamed that it would happen.
Yeah, you had a
when
good
and
cover
how it
with
did.
your two families meeting too.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was beautiful. And you're gonna be married, and I couldn't be more excited to marry you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And yeah, Sarah is going to do the officiating of the wedding.
Yeah, because everyone for over a decade has said that we're gonna get married, and now I get to say I am going to marry Paul.
Yeah, I'm marrying Paul.
To a man.
I'm marrying Callum.
I'm marrying Callum. So yeah, you guys are a beautiful couple, and I love Callum. And congratulations in person, because I haven't got to say that yet.
Is that true?
No, we haven't seen each other since November.
Oh wow.
Yeah, isn't that wild?
That is wild.
This is definitely our longest going without seeing each other in well over a decade.
That's true.
Yeah.
Sarah has been like I feel like I'm like talking to you, but I'm also talking to the listeners. I'm like, yes, it's our friendship is very storied and chronicled at this point. It has myths of its own, and with some like hard to believe mythic characters along the way that have appeared. But yeah, Sarah's friendship has been such a cornerstone of my time in LA. Because I met you 6 months after moving here.
Yeah, I think I met you 2 months after I moved here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those random things on set where I was like, I wasn't even thinking about making a friend on that set, because that's just the sort of set it was. It was
Yeah, it was chaotic.
It was chaotic.
It's like a
and full of nightmare
Craigslist
people.
find.
Yeah. And it was before how I knew how to do anything too. It was
Well,
like,
you did it great though.
no, I didn't.
Well, for me walking in and being like, you did all of these wires everywhere? Wow.
Yeah, it was before I knew how anything was supposed to be run, and now
Yeah.
like looking back, I was like, wow, I got used and abused on that set, as did everyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, so that's an exciting thing that's happening in my life. There's an additional thing that I also wanted to talk to listeners about, is that there's an incredible festival that happens in Edinburgh every year.
Fringe?
Yeah, it's called Fringe. It's where a lot of theatrical pieces got their start.
Fleabag actually started as a Fringe show.
Yeah, Fleabag started as a Fringe show. John Oliver used to do stand-up at Fringe.
Oh, wow.
He told this story on Last Week Tonight about how he was doing a Fringe show, and there was a single woman in the audience, and it was a couple in the audience, and the guy got up and left, and he like stopped his monologue or whatever he was doing and looked to the woman, and he just said, "Are you gonna leave too?" And she goes, "Yeah," and then she like stood up and left as well.
Oh,
But
that's show business.
that's show business. But yeah, if you're a fan of musicals, the musical Six, about the Six Wives of Henry VIII, also got their start there. So as soon as I started seeing Callum, I wanted to do a Fringe show.
Yeah.
And he made it seem like, oh, it's so easy because you'll have a place to stay. It turns out it's not easy. It's actually a very expensive endeavor.
Yeah.
You have to get you have to pay for the fees of the festival. You have to pay for a location. You have to try to house all the people that are in your production as well.
Right.
So this is something that I'm trying to put up in for Fringe 2023.
And you wrote a great show, and you already have music.
Yeah, and as well, thank you. But as listeners to this this podcast, there's a little bit of overlapping interest, because I decided to write a musical based off of this very weird thing that happened historically in ancient Rome. In 200 AD, the Emperor Septimius Severus said in a decree, women are no longer allowed to be gladiators. And it's always been really interesting to me, because the concept of gladiator games just in general is so interesting and hotly contested by historians just in general. Because,
Like, what do you mean? Like, if it even existed?
not that female gladiators get contested as if they actually existed or not, which is very weird, because there's this decree, and like, that's like, why would there be a decree if there weren't female gladiators to begin with. Like that seems silly.
Right.
But there's also the concept of, were gladiator games like WWE, where no one, or MMA, where like no one got hurt intentionally, or did people get murdered?
Was it performance art or
And
just barbaric?
And in all of my research, the answer is both. Sort of just like every time that we do a myth where we're like, well, it actually went this way, or it actually went this way. And I was like, well, actually, it was both. And that
makes sense.
And that's kind of the case, is like, so when historians make an argument of like, there was no murder in the gladiator games, and then in the same sentence they'll be like, and yet there was something called meridiani, which is intentionally murder in the games, where they would murder criminals of war or put them to death on purpose. And so it was like, there would be traveling troops of gladiators who would like be there to put on a show. And then there would also be, and then this is the event where we're gonna put out the prisoners in no armor and have them get just like killed by the big armored guys, and to the delight of the audience. You know? So it was a little bit of column A, column B. So I decided to put this musical together because I've been wanting to tell this story, but I thought, if I was going to tell the story as a movie and be true to it historically, the women were out there with their breasts out. Like they were out there to titillate the crowd. And I know. and so I felt like if this was a movie that's historically accurate, it would feel very like male gaze, sort of exploitive. And so I was like, well, how can I tell this story in a way that it feels still authentic, but also powerful, and you don't have to be historically accurate with the
Make your
costuming?
actors take their tits out, but sing.
Well, not with their tits out. I was thinking about how fun a musical like Hamilton or a musical like Six is, where we're talking about history and we can make it bigger and still emotionally powerful, but also exciting and true at the same time. So that was the idea, and
it's a great idea.
And if you would like to, I guess I'm sharing this because I believe in like, it's so hard and expensive to make art. And if this is something that sounds exciting to you, or you would like to know more, or you would like to help figure out how to make this a reality, because it is a financial endeavor, and art is something that's always a risk-taking thing.
Well, and if you want to see me perform, I'm in it.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Then send me a message afterwards, and I'll tack on one of the demo songs at the end of this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to hear that.
Yeah.
Sarah. But now I am back in LA, and we are back to our adventures. I took a little journey to Atlanta and realized it was not location, but mindset that needed to be altered, and back out here. Let's do it.
Sometimes that's you need to make the physical journey in order to see that. What's the Wizard of Oz quote? Like that the home was in my backyard all along, or I butchered that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Pretty much that. And definitely missed my best friend and my community, and I don't know. I don't see it as like a big whoopsie. I see it more as like an expensive awakening. A very expensive awakening.
I mean that's college for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think I'm probably in that kind of debt right now. So yeah. But Scarlett's back out here, my cat. She's ready to shine.
Yeah.
And yeah, here I am. So hopefully we are able to crank out many more of these.
Yeah, and we won't have to go on as long of a hiatus ever again.
Except when we are both in Edinburgh, traipsing around. Well, I guess if we're both there, we can record.
Yeah, we just need to be better at figuring it out.
That doesn't sound like us.
It doesn't sound like us. No, that's why we need to be better at figuring it out. It's an order, not a whimsical thought.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
And hopefully a lot more creative adventures and just fun ventures to come because I've been so lonely. I'm Mr. Lonely. I just remember that song existed.
Oh,
right now.
I thought you were singing a song for the musical now.
I'm a gladiator. Look at my titties. Whether you want tits in the show or not, I'm whipping them out.
It's gonna happen.
Hey guys, so we are so excited to be back. Thank you for listening to this episode of Myth Understood. We always have merchandise on our magical Dragon Wagon website. If you'd like to become a patron, you can. We have been very bad at that, and we will be changing the tiers soon. But feel free to support us on Patreon if you'd like to. And you can join our Discord community. All of everything I just mentioned, you can find at www.mythunderstoodpodcast.com.
Yeah, you can connect to all the fans of every Dragon Wagon
radio station. Yeah. You will find wonderful people on there. Please follow us on social media. As we said, we are at _mythunderstood, and we are individually at the Paul Bianchi and at the Sarah Oliver on all social media. And please, now that we're back, could you give us a rate and review on that Apple podcast? It helps people find us, and we want to be found.
Night-night.
Night-night.
I remember the first time I set my feet upon the blood-stained sand. In echoes came heartbeats of men and women taken from my land. I've lived my life training to be a warrior fighting for the crowd, but I was meant for so much more. I will not be weaving my own shroud. I went to the domina to speak of the common law, to work until I'm free. A sympathetic contact, she drew up a new contract and said, "Dearie, we'll just be better than any man. Be the baddest bitch because you can turn every head wherever you go. Make him change your name and keep it real. Bring the Ludus fame. You gotta deal with 100 fights and you can go. And now I've got 3 fights till freedom. I see the open door. My homeland isn't your cause, dearie. 3 fights till freedom. I'll overcome the odds. I'm burning down the gods of Rome. 3 fights till freedom. 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 Now the rules change, they tell me. Severus made his demands. I must find a new home, but my contract still stands. It's a death sentence, they tell me. They'd slit my throat rather than see me free. But I'm so damn close, can't give up now. They don't know the fight that lives in me. 3 fights till freedom. I see the open door. My homeland's this is your cause, dearie. 3 fights till freedom. I'll overcome the odds. I'm burning down the gods of Rome. We'll just be better than any man. Be the baddest bitch because you can turn every head wherever you go. Wherever I go. Make a change your name and keep it real. Bring the Ludus fame. You gotta deal and you can go. 3 fights till freedom. 3 fights till freedom. 3 fights till freedom. 3 fights till freedom. 3 fights fights till freedom. 3 fights till freedom. We'll just be better than any man. Be the baddest bitch because you can.
Hello, workers of the world. My name is James Mastriani.
And my name is Matt Newell.
And we are writers and performers and comedians and also hosts of the show Good Work, a laid-back conversational roundtable presented by the century-old newspaper, The Chief.
Yeah, we're going to be discussing labor politics, what it means to be a worker in America, and more. Everything with a pro-worker slant.
Join us and producer Jake on Good Work on Dragon Wagon Radio.
Or wherever you get your podcasts.
Wherever you get them.
Wherever you can get them.
It's Dragon Wagon.